So what percentage of Brits think people look better with a tan? Is it 45, 65 or 85%? The answer is 65%.
Oh, that's right. 57% of us think we look healthier with a tan. What I found surprising about that stat is there's actually more men than women. 60% of men compared to 54% of women. And following on quite nicely from that, we're now asking if tans are healthy, something you almost certainly won't get if you holiday in Britain. Most of us feel good when we come back from a trip abroad with bronze skin, I guess, and a quick sunbed session in the winter can be an effective pick-me-up for all of those who suffer from seasonal affective disorder, or so we think. I guess, you know, if it makes us feel good and others think we look good, then it must be good, right? And yet medics are working overtime to convince us tans are bad. 70,000 people diagnosed with skin cancer every year in the UK, not though all as a result of too much sun. And that figure is expected to quadruple by 2020. And many blame the introduction of sunbeds in the late 70s for that surge, and the figures are rising because the cancers are still coming through. 3 million of us regularly use sunbeds, and yet Australian scientists reckon a single session on a sunbed can increase your chance of getting skin cancer by more than 20%. So why do we do it? 100 and something years ago, posh Victorian women would do anything they could to avoid a tan, because white-looking skin was proof you didn't have to work outside. Now even a washed-out whitey like Amy Winehouse has added tanning to her ever-growing list of addictions, according to The Sun. I mean, why can't we kick Amy about everything these days, can't we? Now, I want you to meet a lady who's with us this morning, mum of 2 Lindos, come down from Buckinghamshire, and her husband was just 41, is that right, when he died from skin cancer?
Yeah, he died 3 years ago. He was aged 41. He was diagnosed when he was 37.
37?
Yeah.
And this skin cancer directly attributed to tanning?
Yeah, when we were both in our 20s, we sunbathed quite recklessly, and we also owned a sunbed and used sunbed 2 or 3 times a week, especially when we were going on holiday, or leading up to a holiday.
Quite a lot, isn't it? Mm. Were you aware of any potential dangers at all?
No, years ago, people didn't worry about it, but there wasn't the publicity then that there is now about the dangers of the sun, the dangers of sunbeds, so we weren't worried, particularly then.
Have you thrown the sunbed out? Stupid question.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm. And you've got 2 kids, 14 and 11, is that right?
14 and 11, yeah.
How does the eldest feel about the sun? 14, wanting to look attractive, meet girls, that kind of thing?
No, he's very, very aware, actually, of the sun, the dangers of the sun. We sort of always smother them. I smother them both in sun cream when we go out. They don't want to look brown. They want to be healthy, but they don't want to look brown.
And when you drive past shopping centres and you can see tanning salons there, what does that make you think?
Infuriates me. They shouldn't be there. They should be banned.
You think they should be banned?
Absolutely.
What do you think about that? Do you think they should be...
I drive past them and I just think, who goes to those places anymore?
I
Knowing
didn't
what we
realise
know.
the attendance was so high. I had
Knowing
no
what we
idea.
know. I just am miffed.
It's amazing that people still use it.
I saw someone outside a tanning salon the other day having a fag waiting to go in. I thought, that person's got a death wish. You know?
Do they have a donut?
Yeah. I mean, Paula, your attitude to the sun, I mean, did you used to tan? Have you changed?
I did.
I mean, attitudes have changed.
I've never done
Linda's
that much
right.
kind of, you know, heavy tanning, because I think I've always been rushing around a bit too much. But yes, I mean, you're so right, Linda, that in those days we really didn't know about the dangers, and we didn't know about the dangers of sunbeds. I mean, we used to think that sunbeds were safe compared with going out into the sun. And to learn that sunbeds are also so dangerous is terrifying. And it's certainly changed my attitude to getting a tan.
When you see someone with tan, do you think...
I do think they look gorgeous.
Right. There's such snobbery to it, isn't it? My mother was actually allergic to the sun. I mean, seriously allergic. She had to stay in the shade and have antihistamines all day and came under... Not pleasant for her. As a result of which, of course, my sister and I spent more time in the shade than probably most children did back in the 60s. And I can remember coming back from a holiday. We were living abroad. We went to France on holiday, and we came back, and one of my mother's friends said, "Oh, didn't you have a nice time? You're not brown." And that was the first time, you know, I must have been 9 or 10, that the connection had been made to me between the sort of, you know, the badge of your holiday is being brown at the end of it.
And still is, I think, to a greater extent.
Although, as you know, Sophie has never been brown. You know, her skin is white as alabaster, and she deliberately now stays out of the shade, out of the sun, and also wears a factor 50 even when she's near the sun to preserve that.
Okay,
people used to leave their wristwatch on, didn't they?
Yes,
to prove what,
what a big tan
they had.
And you hate the sun?
Well, I mean, I hate putting cream on, so what I would do in a hot country, I'd stay in the shade, and I'd always leave a top on. Unless I'm going to go swimming, I'd always leave a top on, long trousers. I'm not into that lying in the sun thing. Whenever I'm abroad, I see people baking on the beach. It's just not for me at all, so... But
it's funny, because I'm completely the opposite. All family holidays, once we started going abroad, so in early teens, were lying on a beach. I have to say, I like being in the water, so I was in the sea all the time. But I also now see people lying on a beach and I think, oh dear. You know.
But as a kid, though, when we used to go to France, like Janet, we would just bake, put on oil and try and get browns. We have a competition, me and my three brothers and sister, who could be the brownest. But the idea is now that a brown skin is a damaged skin, isn't it?
But you said also about the English weather, you can't get a tan in English weather. But in fact, you see people on the beach at Bournemouth and Brighton and stuff, sitting there and bright red. And you think, what are you doing to yourself? Don't you know what you're doing?
Well, that's, you know,
there should, Matthew, be a curfew for everyone.
Yes, I'm kind of with you there. In fact, just keep everybody locked up all the time. Listen, one person who thinks they do look better tanned than white is 24-year-old Adam from Essex, who's in our audience. And your friends call you Mr. Tan Man, is that right?
Yes, I get lots of different names called at me. That's just one of them. Ron from Ron Seal.
Right.
Because of the dark brown and all that, you know, just carries on, you know.
And presumably this isn't entirely based on Essex sunlight, your tan. There's an element of help?
I would hope, yeah, I would like to think it was, but no, I do. I go on sunbeds on average 2 to 3 times a week.
Wow, that's quite a lot. What do you make of the scare stories you've been reading of late? Do they worry you?
They wasn't really worrying about, you know, I wasn't really too worried about them. But this morning, speaking to people in the other room, you know, it's quite scary, really.
When you hear about Linda's husband, you know,
That's
was it
it,
37 and with cancer?
Yeah, yeah. So, but you know, it's not just sunbeds. Also use these tablets that actually increase the melanin in the skin, which we all know helps to, which makes it get colour. So I've been using them as well.
How does your life, you see, I mean, I look at you and think, you look really well, right? As I would imagine when I came back from holiday the other day from Cuba fishing, and people said, oh, you look really well. And I've been cooked out there, and that was with factor 30 on. If you weren't tan now, and you were sitting there in natural Caucasian, British, summer weather, white...
How would I feel?
How would you feel?
I would feel absolutely rubbish, personally. Oh. Yeah, I would. You know, I get... If I go, I just look at myself, I think pale, I don't feel confident, you know.
What about safe? Wouldn't you feel safe?
No.
You wouldn't feel safe?
I feel open. You know, I feel as if, like, people can, you know, it's
what about
weird.
Fake tans, Adam? What about using a fake tan?
Fake tan, they go streaky.
Right.
You know.
You're calling me streaky?
Yeah.
Listen, we've got someone here with us, Jane Lewis, and she's a specialist skin nurse who's based in London's Harley Street. You are of a very different shade from our Adam. What's your views on suntans? Natural suntans, first of all.
Okay.
Natural suntans.
Are you Jane? Oh, no, I was going to talk to Jane behind. Jane, our specialist skin nurse, sorry. That's all right, no worry. We're here for you in a moment. Go on, what do you think, Jane? Natural tan okay or not?
There's not such a thing as a natural tan. I mean, if you've got a tan, then you've burnt your skin. And so some people are darker. Is that what you mean?
No, a natural tan is your skin produces a colour in response to sunlight.
Yes.
So the tan is a natural response to exposure to sun.
Yes. And
so a natural tan, as in skin reaction to sun, have you got a problem with that?
It's a way of your body saying you've burnt yourself. So I do have a problem with that, yes.
But it's our defence mechanism against UV.
And so when you realise you've done that, you should sit in the shade.
So is a tan avoidable then? I mean, you can't avoid...
No, you can't avoid ultraviolet radiation. Right. It's around us all the time.
Okay.
And so UVB, which is what burns us, is when the weather's warm. UVA is around us all the time and actually is ageing us. So the two in combination, you can't avoid all the time.
And sunbeds, are they... I mean, I'm interested, because there's so many things. I mean, Paul was quite right. We used to hear that they were better for us than going out in the sun. I've heard it argued that you'd be better off going on having a sunbed session or two before you go on holiday to get the skin warmed up and prepared for its fortnightly burning in Spain. What are your views on sunbeds?
I agree with Linda. I think that they should be banned. I think there's no regulations. Each machine may emit different amounts of the ultraviolet radiation, so you don't know what you're getting. A lot of these coin booths will not supply you with goggles, and so there's a risk of, you know, cancer to the eye, and you know, it's irresponsible for people to have that kind of business.
Now, Jane has a very special machine that can show sun damage to otherwise healthy-looking skin.